We're talking about artificial intelligence. We've all met people of varying intelligence. We all have interacted with artificiality. What is artificial? Artificial sweeteners, right? Artificial food. Good, bad? Do we care? But some things we take for granted. Artificial, right? We've got cell phones. We have social media as a replacement for actual connections and relationships. How many people still use analog cameras? That's subpar to analog cameras. I mean, digital cameras are subpar to analog cameras. You have more capacity, better output with analog cameras. Yes? So you have all accepted a sub, not the peak. You've all admitted that you accept digital cameras. Yay, it's a trade-off. It's imperfect. It's artificial. It's not what you see. It's an approximation. We'll get more into that. So, this is the definition. Made by humans, especially an imitation of something. Digital cameras are an imitation of what the eye sees. The eye sees light. Light is the boundary between something and nothing. Light. That's very small. But with a digital camera, it's just pixels. We'll just make the pixels smaller so that nobody here can understand and see the difference. This screen here, oh, it's high resolution, it's 4K. Guess what? 8K is better. Guess what? 16K is better. We just keep ramping it up. At some point, our ability to perceive, we stop caring. And that's the boundary with artificial intelligence. It existed because there was a purpose intended for it. Okay? Created by humans with a purpose in mind. And affected or insincere. That has ramifications about how you interact with it. And how you are expected to interact with it. And how you are being told to interact with it. Okay? So, with that said, let's move on. These are the takeaways that I want you to have from this presentation. New? No, just your awareness. Like, this is a topic. AI has actually been around for a while, and we're going to get to that. But these are the takeaway that I want you to understand succinctly about artificial intelligence after this presentation. And I'm going to cover some of it. This is a huge topic, okay? This is transformative, exponentially greater than the internet was. I mean that, okay? That's my conclusion as I've been here for the internet transformation. So this is major. It's more powerful than you can comprehend. You're limited by your comprehension of what it is. I can't make up any distance, but what I can do is get you handholds, and then you can make your own determinations on how you interact with it. Okay? It's also fundamentally flawed, and I want you to understand where the fundamental flaw is. And it's a golden goose, which means it's going to print money and it's going to do all the wonderful things. But it's also Pandora's box. Okay, so this is my takeaway. This will be the summary. So after this presentation, this is the organization of the data that I'm presenting to you. And my goal is that you have these tangible bullet points in context of what I'm presenting to you. And so when you're like, how you approach AI, it's not just good, bad. You need to understand really what's at stake here. And it's really we'll get into that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay. Look at that. What is AI? Well, how does it work? We got to start from the beginning. It all comes to training. Everybody remember this toy as a child? As a kid, how do we teach concepts and ideas. Like how do we start teaching that? Before we have language. Tactile experience. The round shape doesn't fit in the star hole. It doesn't fit. Oh, it fits here. It works. This doesn't work. True, false. It's a binary. True or false. On a fundamental level, every human is bootstrapped into an understanding of true and false. Okay? How do we train an AI, an artificial intelligence? We have to start in the same spot. We have to train an artificial brain what's true and false. Right from the very beginning, we say, hey, what's a color? It doesn't know what a color is, so it's just going to alligator, false. Sky, false. White, true. Yellow, true. Chair, false. Okay? That's how you start training an AI. And the compilation of how you repeat that over and over and over again. The child learns this over and over again. You see them interacting with it constantly, just trying to figure it out. And then they realize something. They can observe the shape, and they can observe the shape, and that's the same, and suddenly they can just put it right in the shape, right in the place. They've learned to recognize something without being told how it works. Okay? The same way artificial intelligence has been trained based on true, false. This works, this doesn't work. And that collection of learning is called a model. Wow, okay, well that's basic. Well, could I train a computer to recognize this? Well, you know, I'm talking about artificial intelligence, so yes, most definitely. But we have to repeat the process of true, false. Who determines what's true and false? We'll get to that. But that's a fundamental question, and that's why this is the first slide. This is the very basic tenets of artificial intelligence. You start with a data set, and you tell the machine what's true and false from that data set. You tell the machine what you're interested in, what you're not interested in. And that collection of yes-nos that you've built over millions, billions of repetitions is compressed down incredibly small, relatively, to what it is, into a model. And you can train an AI to know everything about hats. You can train an AI to know everything about red outfits, about cars. Pick your domain. And that becomes a model. Now another model, another model. So now we have to, what model do I use to ask this artificial intelligence a question? We're going to come back to that. This is, okay. What you're seeing right now is AI generating a picture with a single prompt, and it's a single set random seed, and you're noticing the repetition. It started really nebulous, and then suddenly it becomes trees, right? Or what you think are trees. Again, this is an approximation, right? And see, there's minor changes. Hey, can you pick up the minor changes, frame by frame, right? Now, real fast, this is the change. Notice this tree doesn't change. How did it decide when it was a nebulous cloud of pixels where a tree should be? Who told it that a tree should be right there? Did you notice that that tree doesn't change, but everything else does change? The presentation changes, like, oh, look, there's actually 2 trees there. This is an iterative process, like that child putting those pieces in place. But the model that it was using to fill in those pixels in the approximation told it what a tree looked like. And it picked at random what universe it was going to express. And that's what you get, and that's how this is generative. It works the same for faces. Starts with a nebulous blob.
You're saying this is one where it was instructed to just create a picture of a human face?
Yes, this is a
That
portrait
general?
of a young girl.
A young girl's face.
Yes. Same prompt for every time. And so I want you to see this, and then I'm going to describe the process, because once you see it, then what I say, the words are going to have meaning to it. So when I said to the AI system, this is an iterative process, I need a portrait of a forest in twilight, snowy forest in twilight, or a portrait of a young girl. Okay, it picked the hair color, it picked the skin color, it picked like the background, it picked what she's wearing, it picked everything, just like it picked the tree formations, how many trees, how much the snow was up. It picks all of that based on what? Based on how it's been trained. And so it doesn't have the final picture at every step of the way. It starts off with nothing. And based on the prompt, it says, oh, I need a shape. I need the output to look like a snowy forest. Okay, I've got nothing, so let me put something up here. Let me mold, let me clay this together. Oh, that's one iteration. Second iteration, let me fix it up a little bit. Third iteration, let me fix it a little bit more. Fourth iteration. This is 30 steps. I could have stopped it at any spot, and you'll notice that this is an approximation, almost like a, look, you notice the eye right there? Mm-hmm. That's not a human eye.
The right eye has 2
Correct.
irises, right?
Correct.
The left eye, though, looks, isn't that okay?
Now, until I called specifics, your mind had just approximated, like, hey, this is a portrait, right? Had you noticed those specific details?
I did.
Up front you had, right? Mm-hmm. But you had to point it out. Your expectation was like, oh, that's a picture, that's a face. Oh, that's cool. Until you start looking at the details. So when I start demonstrating to you some other aspects of that interaction, the same tenets apply. You won't know what's real and what's not real, what's true and what's false. It's already been told what's true and false. And it's generating stuff out of the fly based on it's making stuff up. Have you ever talked to a 3-year-old or 4-year-old and say, hey, how was your day? What happened? What's real and what's not real? They live in make-believe land, right? The AI lives in make-believe land. And so how we interact with AI is dependent on our expectations of that interaction. We need to understand that reality. So my hope is to, this is a lot topic, so it's 10:25. Okay. I think you've got that function. This is nothing new. You know, everybody knows about Tesla Autopilot? Yes, no?
Yep.
Is that car doing all of the recognition on the cloud? Is it detecting? How does it detecting cars? Cameras, right? How much latency is involved sending stuff up to a server and getting back?
I didn't know that's what it was doing.
It has to.
Has to?
It has to. Taking a picture of a camera, that's a car, that's a moose.
You saying because you can't put enough computing power on the car?
No, there's enough computing power in the car, and the AI machine learning has been compressed down to such a place that it's been streamlined. You're soon going to understand that a little bit more. But autopilot, everything those feeds of your camera, all of that processing is happening on the car. Your car is a driving computer, your Tesla, your vehicle there, okay? You're not sending the images and audio to Tesla. You're processing it all locally on the car. Just like SpaceX, right? How do those rockets land? There's not time to make a decision on a remote server. It's all has to happen on the hardware itself, okay? This technology exists. You just haven't realized that it exists, okay? Cashierless shopping. Has anyone interacted with cashierless shopping? Right? You go up to like little payment plot. What's this? You just put all of your items right in front and the list of items, and it says amount, and you can just pay right there. No cashier. Have you interacted with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're talking about the ones where you swipe the barcode
No.
yourself?
No. We're talking about, I go to the shelf and I say, I'd like that, and you put it there, and it says, you pay this. You don't interact with it at all. There's no barcode scanning. It recognizes what you put in the little area to buy.
Like the Amazon Go stores or whatever.
Yes. Yes. How does it know what you took? It recognized what you took. How did it do that? Sports production. Have you noticed? Take a video or a recorded video of a football game recorded back in the 90s. Compare it to what you see now. They have AI systems that automatically recognize the players and recognize the ball and control the cameras such that the cameras are always positioned where the ball is. That's where they do the scrimmage line. That's how they do that. That's all AI. Did you know that?
Is that how they put the
Yes.
the down line and
It
stuff
started
on
that.
the
It
screen?
started that way, but that's just composition. And you have to. If this is the camera, and I'm taking a picture, but now my camera moves, that line stays put.
Yeah.
It's augmented reality. Yes? You've been interacting with this stuff for a while. It's nothing new. What needs to change is how you think about it, because what's being put out there to tell you about how to think about it. And there's some questions you need to start asking yourself and how to interact with it and what conclusions can I draw, and you have some decisions to make. In particular, cell phones. Who has a new iPhone? Okay. Who has a new Android? Okay. Since 2016, iOS devices, tablets, and cell phones come with the neural engine, a standalone system on the chip built into the cell phone. That's why it needs 3 cameras. The operating system doesn't talk to the cameras anymore. The operating system talks to the machine learning system on the phone that communicates to the cameras. There's AI driving the camera. That's why you can have 4K HDR resolution on your Apple iOS devices. It's not the operating system that's doing that. It is the machine learning system that's doing that. Face recognition, it's AI. The neural engine is doing that. It's no longer just computer vision recognizing it in the operating system. They have a standalone system on that phone that does the recognition in real time from the cameras, just like Tesla. Android's doing the same thing with their new phones, with the tensor chips, the tensor systems. These are self-contained systems, computer systems, that are specifically built to run machine learning models. And they take input from the cameras and the microphone. How do you think Face ID works exactly?
Is that why they're taking pictures of you every 5 seconds with the IR camera? Have you seen that where they put in
So You said IR, sorry. You can recognize people with their infrared signature. You don't need just light, it can heat as well. That's how good these machine learning systems are. It's not a human that's doing this. So cell phones, that works, but there's something you don't know about. It's there, but you haven't interacted with it. How does an AirTag work? Have you interacted with an Apple AirTag?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's just imagine this is an AirTag, but it's smaller. It's like a quarter sized. I can stick this here. Oh, look, it's there. But that could also be, huh?
About the size of a dog.
Correct. Yeah, like that, right? Really small. You don't charge it. It has all the life. It broadcasts its identifier to ever. It can reach about 200, 100, 150, 200 feet.
How does it broadcast without fuel of any kind?
It uses a built-in battery, and it broadcasts using Bluetooth low energy, which is very efficient. But that signal, it's not that it's broadcasted, because this by here broadcasting, what do we know about communication? Is communication just about one thing? It's about two things. You have a sender and a receiver, right? So what's receiving the signal that's broadcasting?
The phone.
Any iOS device. Everybody's iOS device is the mesh network that interacts with the AirTag. Mesh network is an over RF. It doesn't require mobile signal to do anything to communicate. It's over RF. It's low energy, but all these devices are connected. So the moment it has an internet connection, it says, oh, my phone, relative position, there it is. Here's my position. That's that ID. Here's my ID. And I've got an internet connection. It sends it up to Apple. That's why you can log on and anywhere in the world know where this little AirTag is. You turn off an iOS device, it becomes an AirTag. Somebody takes your phone and turns it off. Guess what? Every other iOS device provides the mesh network that communicates the presence of that phone. So here's a question. If you have an iOS device, you're participating in a mesh network, whether you like it or not. That mesh network is two ways. It's not just sending information up, it's also sending information down. Because the iOS devices know its geolocation, right? You're familiar with geofencing? If you wanted to get an alert on your Facebook or something like that, when you show up in a store or at a conference, that's geofencing. You walk through the doors and all of a sudden you get an alert on your social media app. Have you interacted with that at all? Yes, that's called geofencing. How is that set up? The phone has to alert its location up, right? It also has to be aware of what's going on. So it could also receive a signal. Oh, I'm at this location. Oh, the server decides, oh, you're in this location now. Send them these IDs to look for. Over the mesh network can deliver, or connected over the mobile networks as well. It can now look for certain IDs. And it's the AI systems on the phones that are doing the recognition in real time. Hey, yeah, what? So if I have my phone right here, and this is de-Googled phone, but I have my phone here, right here, right? Yeah, I'm talking on my phone. Where's the camera?
Looking all around.
Oh, I see.
Where's the camera?
Hi. Right.
Does the user need to be interacting with those cameras for the machine learning in real time to do recognition? Toyota Prius, license plate, Amber Alert goes up. You getting, like, you understanding this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is built into the phones that we all carry. This capability is now. Nothing new. You just What's new is your awareness. Okay? I said we come back to that. That's an example. Okay. It's more powerful than you can comprehend. I can't iterate through all the uses of AI, but it's fundamentally flawed. Why? Because we have to train it. We have to make a determination on what's true and what's false. So we tell the system what we're looking for. That's a terrorist, that's not. Uh-oh, we got a problem, don't we? Garbage in, garbage out. Is that going to prevent these systems from being used? Absolutely not. This is stuff you need to know. Okay? New ideas? Helpful so far? Huh?
Tape up your camera.
It's audio too.
Leave Google and Apple. I have a phone that's not Google. It's an above phone. It's a graphing.
So we're going to do question and answer after. We'll turn off the video. So what I'm saying here, I'm checking your pulse. Okay, like, are you guys here? Have I lost you? Is it too much? Like, okay, okay, thumbs up. Okay, good. The good, right? I wish everything was so simple. Hot, ouch, bad. Hot, cook, good. That's unfortunately. So there are great things about AI. They're great things. Easily combine known things. And the reason I specify known things is we tell it what colors there are because we interact with speech. So when kids create a new word, I have to go look up that word. Like, what is that word that they're using? And all the kids are using it. What is that? I don't know what that is. I got to find out what they're using, right? This can easily combine what's known into new things. And so it can be an awesome way to brainstorm ideas, combination. Like, I never thought to combine those two. That's a great idea. How often do we go to YouTube to look for DIY stuff? I wonder how many people have solved this problem. I can't be alone, right? Okay, same concept. But now, because we know how to do things, I could ask an AI, hey, what do I need to do this? That's cool, right? And I don't have to go out and search for a video that has, like, how much time do you waste trying to find the video that repeats, to find someone that has your exact problem, right? There's value in AI that has that ability to look at that information and get it to you, right? In your work, in your job. Analysis. We miss the fact that those voters are dead. They shouldn't be allowed to vote. Right? Whoops, my bad. Whoops. Right? Guess what? We can hold their feet to the fire, can't we? We can use AI to sift through all the garbage, and we can hold them accountable, can't we? You can look at it the downside, but this is some positives, right? But guess what? They're already using AI to... You're not alone in this, is what I'm saying. Okay? But it's great for missing patterns. The bad. Oh boy. So, do you know that there was a release? Eminem released a new single, and it was great. And there was another rapper that released a new single, and it was great, real popular. Hey, it's a new release. Great. Except it wasn't them that did it. It was AI. AI just copied them. It sounded like them. It was in their tone. It was their same pattern and style. And so right now there's a big question on why am I going to pay you millions of dollars to do something that an AI can just do, studying off of what you did.
Someone just said to me yesterday that 18% of the new songs that come out on like, you know, where you can buy it on the net are actually made by AI. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what
It's
telling me
absolutely
it's
true.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what I'm saying. This is not new. What's new is your awareness of it. This has actually been happening for 10 years or more. This has just been released. The critical thinker should be asking the question, why? We're going to get to that. There's a specific thing about this. But this is exactly, to deal with this and to put it into a frame of mind and a frame of reference, to interact with it, you need to be aware of this. So 100%, yes. Have you noticed that all the songs on the radio seem to sound the same? Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? And we're just...
Sam Smith is so
How much time is wasted? You get this reference, right? How much time is wasted? Kids, how much time do they waste? There's a trade-off. There's great stuff on YouTube, but there's also others, you know what I'm saying? There's also not great stuff. It's not all good, it's not all bad, but this is loss of value. I just want the outcome. I don't care how you did it. I'm not going to pay that much for it. Programmers, copy editors, journalists, like, we've got some serious questions to ask ourselves and to cope with. So, analysis. When you're analyzing data in a job, you're taking in information from a lot of different sources, right? As a human brain, you're like, hey, I got to do my job right. What am I missing? You spend time analyzing, what am I missing? That's a thought process. What don't I know? Can an AI do that? Asking the question, what should exist, is a quantifiable human question. What should exist? Because there's intent. How do you encapsulate, how do you make an artificial intent? You follow? So when you say miss new relations, when you're analyzing data, you're very aware of the connections that are being shown by the data. At this time, this person speeds, right? But why do they speed? All it's been trained to recognize is the speed increase at this time in this location. It doesn't know why or meaning. Okay? So new relations that are outside of the model that has been trained. Remember, you have to train a model on what has been happening in the past. What's happening in the future. How do you train a model to adapt? That's a question. We'll get to that because yeah. And Musk and many others, it's the end of the world. AI, right? While at the same time pumping tons of money into AI. He's building top generation, top tier infrastructure to run AI.
In your brain.
Huh?
In your brain.
Neuralink. So you've seen him say, it's the end of the world, we gotta hold back, we gotta stop. Meanwhile, hey guys, ramp it up.
Exactly.
What's real? What are you choosing to believe? That's a question. Okay? So that's legitimately the bad. And now, because of the good and the bad, it comes down to reality and perception. How are we doing for time? Oh boy, I gotta wrap this up. This is okay. I've already covered the analog and digital with the camera. It's an approximation. But this is not the only example of approximation. We talked about a little bit how do you learn, but right now I'm giving you information and I'm asking you questions and I'm prodding your mind to think, but there are some people that interact with information differently than others. Not everybody's the same. Some people are kinesthetic, some people are more abstract, concrete versus abstract. It matters. Humans, one's not better than the other. You can have expertise demonstrated many different ways, and you can get that expertise from, like, people learn differently. And so my apologies for those non-abstract folks. I'm really sorry. Some people, like, you know, I'm an abstract guy. I don't know if you picked that up. But our interaction with what's real hinges on how we take in information. And if you have systems that approximate reality, the people that interact with things, was that real? I don't know if that's real or not. They're used to feeling real. That's not real. I don't like that. Or that's not real. Hey, this is kind of cool. I could do something with that, right? The good, bad depends, but people are going to interact with it differently. So understand that just because someone says AI, they could be using it differently. It's not necessarily bad, right? There's a human behind AI. There's a human intelligence behind the artificial intelligence. There's purpose, inherent, built in, packed into the system. There's an intention built into the system. When doing something, when building something, oh, that's good enough. If you're building a deck, oh, that's good enough. Putting up a fence, well, that's good enough. It's not perfect. You're familiar with this concept, right? It applies here too. We don't need perfect. We just need passable. Yeah, that's passable. And what's coming next? The ugly. Relationships and meaning. If now we have a substitute for an actual relationship, a substitute for what's meaningful in someone's life, what motivation is there to have a real connection? There's systems out there right now that'll be your companion driven by AI. Okay? Pornography. Who needs actors and actresses? I can have AI generate whatever you're into. Literally. Heck. Sorry, bad word. It doesn't even require anything else. Imagine augmented reality in pornography. Like, I'm going to stop there because of audience. This is big. I can't, like, and it's delivered on mobile phones. Kids. I'm telling you, this is huge. It doesn't require the infrastructure out there. The human brain has already been trained to hook into this stuff. It's bad. Paranormal, death. Spiritual things. We interact with things outside of our physical existence. Upload pictures of your grandma, grandpa, and their voice. You can interact with them. You never have to deal with their death. They will live forever. We can do that now with AI. Whoa. This is new. Right?
Are there people that actually fall for that?
Yes. All of this stuff is, I'm not, this is not me just projecting possibilities. This is happening right now. And I can point you to this stuff directly. Deception, Ouija, like direct occult stuff. Like, what is a Ouija board? Literally, tell me, and ask a question and get a response. And I'm going to demonstrate to you ChatGPT locally. Type a question, get a response back. All offline. It's not internet, so it doesn't share up. But like, and there's apps now on your phone that you're interacting with just like a relationship, but now you're interacting with the spiritual interaction, like explicitly, like, hey, 8-ball, what should I do? Like, literally, this is here, and it's driven by AI. People are using this stuff right now. You have to cope with this. Whether or not you're aware of it or not, I mean, that's why this is what you need to know, okay? So that was some details. So this is the macro level. It's valuable to whom? Who has value? Can you extract value from AI? That determines on your ability to interact with that. But it also depends on your ability to interact with things anyway. How do you do your job? What things are repetitive? How could I leverage? You see these questions? Like you could approach it as a tool, but you need to keep in mind where that boundary is, and you have to define where that boundary is and what you're comfortable touching and what you don't know. Is this helpful? Okay, Pandora's box. This is a big one. The current technology, why now? Why was it released now? Why do we know about it now? Why are we talking about it now? Oh boy. Do we trust the media right now?
Yeah.
We all know that, oh, it's bots that do this. They send a whole bunch of stuff, right? What's real? We know it's fake. We know they just lie completely. There's no connection to reality. Yeah, they're talking faces, but how do we interact with them? Do we actually have a real relationship? Functionally, they could just be another talking head, literally a talking head, that looks like a human. How would we know? Uh-oh. Prove you're a human before I interact with you. Before I will invest my time to have a relationship with you, prove you're a human. Anonymity and privacy, out the door. Bias, ethics, and copyright. It's all based on training, what's true and false. This is a terrorist, this is fine. Switching goalposts, we're familiar with that. Ethics, what's right and wrong. Musk and others are saying we need to pull back from AI, but meanwhile invest in all that's do this here. What that tells my mind is that I want to be allowed to do this. You shouldn't be allowed to do this. And that's the Pandora's box. To get you to buy in and accept AI in your life, and to accept the surrender of your anonymity and your privacy for digital ID. And this asks the question of totalitarianism. What kind of society is ruled by a class that has all the keys and everybody else that's subject and limited? That's not a free society. So we have to be intentional about how we interact and what we allow and what we accept. We have to be not just participants and just along for the ride. There's more to know. Okay? And it comes down to truth. What is truth? Seriously, how do you judge what's true? We've all been to a magician. We've all looked in disbelief, and all of a sudden he pulls a rabbit out of a hat or does some other fantastical thing. What's truth? We know it didn't actually happen. Suspension of disbelief. This begs a real question, and we're going to be faced with it really, because once you believe in artificial intelligence as a replacement for actual intelligence, human intelligence, and more importantly, an intelligence that transcends our understanding. How did we create computers, and how did we create this to begin with? We studied what existed in our biology and what it was to think, what it was to organize, what it was to process, what it was to be intelligent. We started thinking about that. We started creating it. We said, there is no God. We're going to do it. So ultimately, this question of truth comes down to where is your litmus test? Where is your reference point for what is truth? And personally, you're going to have to make that decision. I'm going to ask you this question now. What came first? The ideas that mathematics describe, or the human mind? We interact with mathematics all the time at various levels. Mathematics is just a language like the English that I'm speaking to you right now. But a language that describes ideas. The language is not the idea. The idea exists in all of your mind. you know that this means something. I can write the letter 3 and it means something. What does it mean? It's an idea, the relationship. Did the human mind exist and create mathematics to just express these abstract concepts? If that was the case, then the world and everything that operates, nature that operates by mathematics, wouldn't exist without a human mind. Evolution is completely and provably false, the theory of evolution. And our pushing artificial intelligence is going to drive that home. And in its place is going to be a false relation point of what is truth. The AI is the wedge. Does that make sense? We're going to be jettisoning all of the atheists and all of the non-believers. Everybody's going to believe in God and creation. It's just who's God? Is it the God in all of us, or is it the one God that created everything? Whose mind holds the ideas that mathematics describe? It's not a human mind, and it's not an artificial mind. That's why the truth element is so important to understand as we interact with artificial intelligence, and that's why it's meaningful right now. And this is the questions. So, how did I do? It's just your awareness. It's more powerful than you can comprehend. It's also fundamentally flawed. It's the golden goose, and it's Pandora's box.
To be aware of new videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Preparing for the Time of Trouble channel. For more free videos and downloadable audio podcasts, as well as handouts, go to www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com. Topic categories include recordings of live seminar presentations, country living, sustainable gardening, homestead remedies, how to be self-sufficient when the grid goes down, wild edible and medicinal plants, hydrotherapy, and end-time Bible prophecies. To take advantage of these free resources, go to preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.